Well, hello. Today we're going to start off with the cleanse because we're rebuking energies that are not in alignment with us. Yeah, it's been quite an eventful day today. If you don't mind me, I'll be cleansing the room. I already cleansed it earlier, but the girly pop has decided to cleanse it one more time. One more time for the people, because we're not dealing with the shits. We're not. Okay, so while we're at it, let's get straight to business. So I've been observing a lot of things as of lately. Oh, I feel shaky. Okay, so observations that I've been noticing is womb. So for my divine feminines, some womb healing. You might be carrying trauma on there. I'm also seeing gestation period, shedding old layers, old paradigms and realities. So like you could have been carrying like ancestral like lineage that has been carried on for quite some time. This is for my divine feminines. And for my divine masculines, you're probably just going through a gestation period, shedding old layers of yourself and old paradigms that have been passed down from your mother's lineage. And then I'm also this was all in the morning. So whenever I wrote this, after the gestation period, I saw hatching from the egg, emerging as someone new. So you're emerging as somebody new, like someone that is gonna be unrecognizable to the people that once knew you. You're no longer that version of yourself or that person. You're no longer at that frequency. So you're not gonna be able to resonate, but you are hatching because you're going through this period of isolation, evolvement, what is it called? Self-improvement. And another thing that I was noticing is being hidden in plain sight. People cannot see your blessing. They cannot see your gift. Some people are not meant to notice that gift. You're meant to be here to help others that are meant to be called to action. I'm also seeing death and rebirth going on. So again, I'm saying transformation, shedding all layers, becoming a whole new different version of yourself. I'm also seeing that, you're being highly sought out. There is people wondering about you, wanting to know more about you, learning from you, getting some wisdom or insights. I also saw save yourself. So there is this point in time where it's time that you finally take some action towards yourself, towards your mental health, your emotional health, what you want long term, what would you want for you, what are your likes and dislikes, what are your boundaries, where do you see yourself in 6 months, rather than keeping yourself in old realities, old timelines, old circumstances. You're outgrowing and you're evolving. I also wrote down, because of that, I think it was the last video from yesterday where I talked about the monkeys. And the way that I wrote about this was friend groups, community groups, family, the monkeys that all try to consciously or unconsciously hold you back. I'm seeing right now that could be part of it. There's people from the past coming back to try and see if they can hold you back into this old paradigm or to this old timeline that you're no longer resonating with. I'm also picking up on pain body. So this could have been your ancestral lineage, the pain and the trauma, the suffering that they went through. You're not consciously aware of it, but your body still remembers. Even if this has been so many past lives before, it still just knows that pain and suffering as collective consciousness, and how you're still holding on to those kind of attachments, holding on to that pain, to the suffering, to the stress. And Spirit's just it's time to release, let go, so that way you can enter into this new world, because you're ascending into the new world. And it's I'm seeing spirals, you're going through a spiral. You might be thinking you might be going in circles, but you're actually going into a spiral and going into a whole different dimension and portal. And it's also showing you you're not just spinning around. It's also how do you perceive it, because there's also an exit. you go through this whole spiral, you go through the motions, and then you go into the next timeline. So that's what I wanted to talk about. Someone did recommend to me. Paige, yes, I'm talking about you. If you do end up watching this video. About this, like, she's like, oh, well, you know, sure. And I want to show y'all, like, the drawing, or like what I wrote about it. I'm not sure if it's gonna show y'all, but this is what I wrote. Those are my notes that I wrote this morning while I was at work, because this has been like certain things that I've been noticing, like even on like the YouTube videos that I watch on tarot readers, like certain phrases that I've been catching, like these are like just things that are like picking up on. And then the spirals, I picked that up on like on Instagram, and I'm like, okay, well, I keep seeing spirals, like something significant about it. And then when I heard about the womb and gestation, and I'm like, okay, so they're going through a gestation period. You're shedding like even layers from the divine feminine or from the ancestral lineage, having to do with the woman in your life, and getting like these DNA activations. And so like it's just a lot of transitioning going on right now as a collective. And I'm picking up on also like on the shadow work, there is that Mercury retrograde, so a lot of reflecting. I think there was like something having to do with a clash of egos. Don't quote me on it. I have not gotten myself a little educated on that aspect that's going on, but I know for sure like there's like a certain transit with Leo, I think it being in Mars or either on Mercury, like there's like a transition going on. And it's creating a clash of egos. I'm also getting this like sensation of like, you know, self-reflecting and reviewing when your ego played a role. How do you let your ego get in the way? And I highly would recommend, don't catch yourself in a tussle. I highly do not recommend it, because right now is not the time. Because there is a high chance there's got to be misperceivement and miscommunication. So I highly recommend right now is not the time to talk or to try like argue or defend yourself. Some things are just better left unsaid, I guess, at this point. But definitely like I'm seeing like, you know, you're letting go of like these people that once held you down from ascending, from leveling yourself up. Many people like, you know, you were hidden on plain sight because, you know, if they knew who you were, or if they knew like your potential or where were you going to go at, they were gonna go with you, try to take from you. And some people, you know, they did see this and they attempted to, and it backfired on them. Because you're someone that's meant to be at a greater calling, higher purpose, and some individuals are just here for a season. You're here to like, you know, show them a lesson about themselves, where they're at, and they're just not meant to be in that journey. And that is okay. You should not feel guilty because certain people are not able to join you in that journey, you know? Whatever is meant to be is meant to be, and it's up really to the divine to do like, you know, that divine intervention. If it's meant to be, if it's meant to be. But forcing your way into it or like, you know, clinging on to it, bad idea. Bad freaking idea. And I'm hearing karmic connections here, so this could have been coming from karmic connections as well. Definitely you are evolving and growing. There's just a period of like self-development. Yeah. And then what's funny, I was also having a conversation about black magic. And I also got, so black magic, the way that I perceive it, and anybody else has their own interpretation. It could be spell work, it could be gossip and banter, projections and beliefs. And so I was looking for like reversals. I don't think that might be the appropriate word, but something that like, so that way it doesn't affect you. And I was thinking of like the 5 agreements where it talks about don't take anything personal, because literally you only accept something if you take it personal. If you deem it to be true, that's when you make that agreement and contract, remember? Be impeccable with your word. So be mindful of what you're spitting out to the world, saying out to the world, talking to people about, because it's all gonna come back around. You gotta be mindful about that. And whenever you're impeccable with your word, whenever you're speaking in your truth, like nothing can be cast upon you. That is just my perceivement, because you're standing in your truth. You're not trying to create any confusion or illusions. Another one, heavy on boundaries, because whenever you have boundaries, all of this can be prevented. You won't have to get affected. It wouldn't even start or be initiated. It wouldn't even be at your vibration, to be honest, if you have boundaries. And this could be spiritual boundaries too, or energetic boundaries. And also detachment, because once you're detached, you don't take nothing personally. You just understand that, you know, this stuff is based on that person's, like, you know, programming, projections, vibration, and personal experiences. So you don't have to take none of that personal, because it has nothing to do with you, more having to do with them and their life and their situation. So that's why I was just like, you know, reflecting and thinking, and I was like, well, this would be great to like let the collective know, well, these are my observations, take it with a grain of salt, and you tell me if, like, you know, if this resonates and if you learned something from this, but these are my observations from what I'm going through, and just, you know, so that way I can deepen my understanding from my own experience as well. So yeah, and if you have any comments or questions, you're free to email me. You're free to ask me questions. You're free to comment down below. But yeah, I feel like this has been a very productive conversation. Definitely, I am going to check more out on the 5 agreements. Something that I did come across that I was thinking about as a theme is breaking the habits of... It's this book. Let me just grab it. It's my bed. So like a good thing in regards to like this theme that I'm catching up on is breaking the habit of being yourself. Because even in the video when I had to do the monkeys, it talks about, you know, humans are habitual patterns and habits. They work on habits and behaviors, learned behaviors that they see from others. It's interconnected. You become who you surround yourself with. And this is one of the books that I would highly recommend. So that way you can outbeat you versus you and this reality, because at the end of the day, like, nobody's really actually sabotaging you. It's actually you. 12 as I say this, like, it's actually you allowing this to come into your life, you know. But yeah, and that should be all. And this is just, you know, thank you, Paige. Thank you for telling me to do this. And I hope this brings out clarity, and if it resonates, it resonates, and if it doesn't, leave it out the window. Do not force it. Let's see where this journey takes me. I am so, like, at this point, like, I'm ready to hop into a different paradigm at this point. So that's how I feel. So there's that. Have a great rest of your night, and thank you for tapping in.